The next time you are at the beach, take a moment to look at the footprints in the sand. Everybody's footprints are different. Some people leave long prints and some leave short ones. Some are deep and others are shallow. Here is the trail that Arielle makes when she visits the beach. She runs and swims and dances, though she does not leave ordinary marks in the sand. This is her story.
My first trip to Hawaii was many, many years ago, and I just fell in love with everything about Hawaii. It looked like a great place to relocate to start a business, and which is what I did, and then moved here in 1990. But in that first year, I loved it, fully embraced everything about it, but I got pregnant. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to keep working, and I'm going to start a business, and I'm going to have a baby, and I'm going to keep working out and doing all these things, and it just did not work out that way at all. Like every new mom, I was reading one of those, what to expect when you're expecting books, and I was only on month 6, so nothing said anything about labor or anything. So I remember getting up after like the 5th time in the middle of the night, because I had to keep going to the bathroom. I couldn't get comfortable. So I just got up and read, and I just fast forwarded, read through the rest of the 3 months of that book, and I suspected that it's possible. I'm in preterm labor, but I was in denial as well. I think that's when things then moved into high gear. They're like, we need to get you in. For babies to survive at 26 weeks is just really dramatic and very difficult. On top of all the things that she had, like regular surgeries that little preemies have to have, things like trying to avoid brain bleeds and immature gut and the lungs failing and the heart surgeries and the chest tubes and all these other really surgeries that she had had. The additional thing was that we were watchful, mindful of, is she had this little tumor on her foot. They noticed that it was a malignant fibromosarcoma, and this was a very invasive tumor that was gnarly. It grew into her toes, it spread apart her bones, and it was basically taking over the whole lower part of her foot. So these are her choices. Remove the tumor or she dies. Remove the foot or she dies. And that seemed to be the only choice throughout the first 4 months. Everything was do this or she dies. It was a no-brainer. I mean, of course you're gonna do it. We thought we're finally out of the water. She's up to 4 pounds. Oh, one more thing, let's go take care of this little thing. And who knew that little thing would be the most damaging long-term reminder of her experience as a premature baby. I remember thinking, I wonder if she'll ever forgive me. There was this feeling of you become a cocoon, and that was my survival mechanism. I kind of kept trying to find a way to, re-encompass that baby in my body. And I couldn't. It's almost 25 years ago. It's like it just happens.
When I was younger, it was difficult to explain what happened, so usually I would have to ask my parents for help.
What happened is she went from a really happy child to, she started getting quieter and withdrawn, and I was like, Arielle, honey, what's wrong? She'd just be real quiet and real kind of, and so I kind of would just watch what would, in the morning when I would drop her off to see what would happen, and the first thing they'd do is all the kids kick off, in Hawaii, all the kids kick off their slippers at the door, and they go in, and so her first moment of the day is, she doesn't wear slippers, and she kicked off her whole leg, her whole prosthesis, and freaked everybody out. So I started getting the picture that she was starting to get teased by the kids, and she felt uncomfortable. That was the first generation of how I put together a little photo album and little captions, very old school, helping hands at home kind of a thing, targeting young kids to help tell her story. So it just was a simple photo album of kind of like Arielle the first day to her 5 years old. And in the upshot explained that she had to get her foot cut off because she had cancer, and that was the only way she could survive. And it was amazing, I mean, how just telling the story in such a simple way to this young audience, how that the counselor then brought all the kindergartners together and they got it, and they're like, okay, let's go play now. You know, it was like, just like that. So every year she progressed from kindergarten to first, all throughout elementary school. That book was the first thing that happened in the beginning of the year. They would share the story, the kids would get the picture, and it really helped her integrate into the classroom. And I think it was important for her. I think it helped her tell her story in that young age, and it helped other kids in the young place understand as well. She's always been the best in her class in art, and which was great because, you know, she was in special ed classes and, you know, in other classes, you know, but this was an area that she really would shine. She showed fine tactile skills ever since she was little, and I really think her fine motor skills were developed because she didn't do a lot of those big gross motor skill things early. She spent a lot of time sitting around, not really walking as much. So she had those little fingers were real busy real early. It didn't stop in early childhood. Her self-confidence just really bloomed around her artistic ability. Arielle's been surrounded by artists, you know, her dad's an artist, her stepdad's an artist, her mom's an artist. I mean, you know, our house is filled with crazy paintings and musical instruments, and, you know, so in both sides of her life, really, she's been very supported. It made her different too, and she celebrated her differences in that way, and I just think that it's her thing.
I guess you could create your own world off of that, and I enjoy it. So it's not like the now is difficult. I actually enjoy it very much right now, but it's a matter of just letting your emotions through what you can create.
She's always has this side of her that's just a little bit different.
Sometimes it's a little frustrating that some people think you can't do things on your own, even if you're different, but I consider it more of a part of who you are, and I shouldn't think you should be ashamed of it or not. I consider it as part of me. I can't really imagine myself without it, that's why. I feel like sometimes a lot of people are very like, oh, you always need help, and no, you could be very independent with what you have, and it's just a learning stepping stone of what you have through life. You can either get through it or just stay at where you're at, but I consider it more as a part of determination, I suppose, just a way of believing in yourself.